What's up, guys? It's Brian from HASHWAREHUB. It's about 10 p.m. Turks and Caicos time. I'm been on the road for a little bit here, so this is my first video, and I think in about 2 days. And so you'll see here some noises in the background. I'm trying to find the quietest place I possibly could that actually had power and Wi-Fi access at the same time, which seems to be kind of a difficult thing to do around here, believe it or not. But I've been following the markets from time to time throughout the travels in the past 2 days, and I should be more live with videos coming the next few days. Sorry for being a bit MIA for those 2 days, and let's get right into it. So Bitcoin has obviously fallen off quite precipitously. I'm actually looking at Ethereum right now, but we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, and let's take a look at it. Okay, I just want to zoom in here. So the blue line is where we left off last. The blue line, we were saying the blue line has to hold. And I think the last video we did was kind of somewhere around this region. And clearly, the market kind of ran up. It hit this dashed line here. It tried to stay above it for some time. It wasn't able to do it, and then it has precipitously fallen off from there. So what does this leave us with? So this is a 4-hour chart. So the blue line is really where we need to stay within. Anything below it that stays below it for some time is a pretty bearish signal. You can make the argument that this is a bullish wick if the market were to come back up pretty quickly, but we got to know this in like the next candle or two, whether or not this is going to come back up. If it doesn't come back up, it's probably going to be a sign of the fact that two things: A, that this larger wedge, descending wedge, is pretty much over, and or B, that there's going to be a larger precipitous sell-off. And right now, this is at 6,524. That's where the market is right now. Where we see other potential support lies the next point that we see right here is about 5,568. That is possibly one potential line of support. There's another one right here at about 6,178. I'll actually draw this one real quick. That's the top right here, which I tend to like because it also touches these zones right here. This is actually did I draw it correctly? Come on, mouse. Yeah, it's about correctly. Give or take about 50 points on Bitcoin. So where do we go from here? So where we go from here, unfortunately, is probably down in the event that the market does not come up here rather quickly. If it doesn't, then some more of our some more of our more negative type of scenarios that we've been looking at may possibly come into play. One thing I want to mention here real quick is, the QQE indicator has crossed over right about this area right here, and it's coming down. Hopefully, this should be able to turn and come back up again. That's really what I'm hoping for. I do see some people, a little perusing I've done over the past day or two, with a little limited Wi-Fi signal that I've had. I do see some people talking about, again, Bitcoin, hitting certain levels on MACD, and then it's going to turn from there. We don't necessarily trade in that fashion. I just don't ever see it ever working correctly. One thing I do want to mention right here is where we are on the QQE indicator is about let's call it about 30, right? 29.30. And if you just zoom out real quick, this is part of the lowest lows we've had. You can make the argument that it happened here, but it did also happen here, here, and here. So there's a possibility that we are hitting some sort of relative low right now, as far as the sell-off is concerned. But then I do see things like this. I see enormous amount of selling volume coming in. Look at this selling volume right here. Okay, this is pretty high. It's volume, but since the bar is down, it shows up red as if it's like volume of selling. It's not 100% true, but you can see this is really high volume. There's only been a few other days. As you remember, this is a daily chart now we're looking at now. There's only been a few other days where the volume has been higher or the same, like a handful of days or less. Way less than a handful of days. So that tells me that there's a lot of scared people out there. There's a lot of people that are looking to sell this, get it, off their hands, out of their portfolios, raise into fiat, and that's never really a good sign. So let's look at the 4-hour chart really quickly again. And yeah, we are down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Similar to what we were saying before, where there may be some larger A, B, C type scenarios, or maybe even a much larger A, B, C scenario. Okay, which is something I really haven't spoken about all that much lately. It brings us that this is one big A. Okay, and then this A could even come down a little bit lower, and then we would have a B that wouldn't quite hit the top, but it would come down a little bit lower than the top, and then we would have a C that would sell off much lower. Okay, somewhere to around the like 2,000 level. Not trying to scare people, but I'm trying to say that we prepare for these things. We look at various different trading patterns. Chart patterns that of probabilities of things that could possibly happen. And yeah, that's definitely on the table. And as we see more of this type of stuff right here, the probability of that happening becomes larger and larger. It's definitely not our primary count by any means, but it's something that we need to be able to plan for. So right now, there's not really much predictions I can really talk about. I need to kind of see this whole thing play out. Last we spoke, I think we were around here, and with what we were hoping this was going to be just a bullish wick, and that we thought and hoped that the market was going to come up and at least run into some of the resistance here. It didn't at all. It never even made a chance to make it up there. Which is not a good thing at all. It just shows that there are a lot of people that are in the market that are rather skittish, to say the least. So we're going to leave it right there right now. Try to get this video out of here while I actually do have signal. So if there's any questions, let us know. I'm going to be looking for a little bit better of a setup over the next week or so. Maybe I'll do a video actually tomorrow during the day. I can kind of show you guys around here. It's quite beautiful, to say the least. So with that said, we will speak to you guys soon, and happy trading.